Government in ancient Greece started as an oligarchy, or a government where most power is held by a small bit of. Tyrants began to take over in times of war because it was easy to gain power. Eventually, Greeks turned to a government of democracy. Democracy was the main reason that Greek city-states began to include more people in government. This democracy was started by the aristocrats who appointed a ruler named Solon. Solon reduced punishments for crimes, stopped the selling of slaves, and gave male citizens the right to vote. These acts helped Athens. Democracy granted people citizenship or membership in a political community. Democracy also took some power away from wealthy people and doubled the amount of citizens allowed to vote. This system gave most decisions to ordinary citizens who weren't allowed to vote before. Men also would be paid to do political services such as jury duty. In the courts, a jury could be as big as 100 people. The assembly also helped more people participate in government. The assembly is a gathering where free adult men have the right to speak. This happened 40 times every year and more than 6,000 people attended. Assemblies were so important that sometimes generals were elected. The aristocrats in 594 BC who appointed a ruler named Solon to make changes in the poor government that started the path to democracy. First, Solon reduced the punishments for crimes and he ended the selling into slavery for people in debt. He also granted all male citizens the right to vote.
After Solon resigned, other leaders helped change the government into a more democratic government. Athens established a new court system based on citizen juries. A leader named Pericles made more changes in government. His first major change was to pay citizens for jury duty and other civic duties. He also found it important to recognize women. All these changes helped to unite the government into a powerful democracy.
Although a tyrant snatched the government for many years, but the government changed to the same democratic government after the tyrant ruled.
Sparta developed an oligarchy based on a strong military. They began creating specific stages for a Spartan male's life.
This process began at 7 years old, where boys were taken from their family and were educated in a state school. When they became 18, they went to a military training program for 2 years.
At this stage, they were also allowed to get married, but they spent little time with their wives. They were also allowed to leave the army at age 30.
Once they left the army, they gained entry to a men's club of former soldiers.
Last, when they were 60, they became candidates for the Council of Elders.
Sparta needed these skills because they needed food, so they conquered Messenia in the early 600s BC. They took the people of Messenia and made them slaves. These slaves were called Helots. After many years of harsh labor, the Helots revolted. This was called the Helots Revolt.
After the revolt, Sparta decided to create a military state instead of letting the Helots free. A military state is a state organized primarily for waging war.
Once they became a military state, the Helots were easily defeated.